Hi, this is Bobby Curnow, Chief Turtle Editor at IDW Publishing, and you are going to have a shell of a good time inside the pull bag.
Welcome to The Pull Bags, Back Issue Classics. Join us as we talk about comics from yesteryear, from DC, Marvel, and more. So open your ears to hear our discussion of the older continuities, as the Back Issue Classics are also what's in the Pull Bag.
Very well. I have my own mutants. Bebop, Rocksteady, destroy them!
Oh, with great pleasure, Master Shredder.
Hey, this is Tom Walsh, IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle writer, and you have jumped inside the Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is Back Issue Classics, episode 64. I am, of course, TFG and Mike. Joining me is Joe Reed. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Well, I will apologize to the listeners if I snuffle or if my voice sounds funny. I'm over the hill on a cold and feeling a little better, but I probably sound weird.
You sound fine to, other than, the snorting, you sound fine. You sound like you're turning into Bebop. I am so not Rocksteady.
You are now.
Apparently, yeah. So, this is it, folks. This is Bebop and Rocksteady Destroy Everything, number 5, final issue. After last time, my head still hurts from all the time traveling. Oh.
And this is the inevitable pullback that I knew was going to come after they wrecked everything.
Yeah. All right, so we have two covers. We have the regular cover, which is done by Nick Pitara, colors by Michael Garland on the regular cover, and then we have the subscription cover, which is done by Ryan Brown. I love the subscription cover.
Yep.
The subscription cover is awesome. Okay, so the story, obviously, Ben Bates, Dustin Weaver. Dustin Weaver did the script. The art, Ryan Brown did the art on pages 1 to 8, and then page 10. Sophie Campbell was on pages 9 and 11. Dustin was on pages 12 to 15, and then Ben was on pages 16 to 20. Colors done by Bill Crabtree, pages 12 to 20. Letters are done by Sean Lee, and obviously Bobby is the editor. So we start off where we left off in the 79th dimension. And we see all these other 79th dimension people, all these other Renet-looking clone-like people. This is just weird, folks.
I'm used to anybody with a clock on their head being Renet, but now we know that there are more of these Time Masters hanging out.
Yeah,
doesn't help their colors are all the same either. That got me.
Yeah. I know you just said Time Masters, but because of your cold, it sounded like Time Bastards.
Also kind of accurate.
Yes. Yeah, kind of. And these 79th Dimension Time Master people, they talk funny. And I'm not just talking like, oh, we're from Boston, we parked the car. No, I'm talking like they use weird, like...
It's a Valley Girl accent. They all have Renet's Valley Girl.
Yeah, but they use weird words and terms, and oh god, it's
all Valley Girl. It's like the mall speak of the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this. Like, seriously, bag your face. I am so sure.
I am so sure. I think the coolest thing about these first two pages is how not exactly similar to Turtles 3 in the movie, but how the Time Scepter is kind of looking like the Time Scepter from Turtles 3.
Yeah, that was deliberate and awesome.
Absolutely love that. I remember I had sent you... Oh, yeah, it's later. I had sent you a message on Facebook when I was reading this as I was going through it, and I got to a certain page that we'll get to later that I'm like, oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, I didn't notice her at first. Because I thought that Pepperoni got lost again. She popped out in like the 3rd issue or the 4th issue to save the day, and then she disappeared again, and Raph was all sad and everything else because he lost his pet. What I didn't notice was in the beginning here, on the second page, that she's there. I didn't notice that she was there because later I'm like, wait, where? We'll get to it, folks. We'll get to it because that was like really shocking to me because I didn't notice her first in the beginning. So, it's, ladies and gentlemen, I really don't want to insult the IDW people at all. I really don't. But this issue is essentially the pilot to DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Is essentially what Renet is Rip Hunter, really, because she does the exact same thing he does. He disobeys the Time Masters and he steals a ship and he goes back to try to stop. That's essentially what this entire penultimate issue is. What this final issue is. I love it. I think it's great, but that's kind of the story because the part of the panel on this page here, she's like, "Oh yes, we're stealing this." All right, so we go through the time tunnels, and we see that Bebop and Rocksteady are just floating through, looking for each other, looking for the proper versions of themselves.
Which is interesting, because now at this point there are probably just several different proper versions, too, so when they hooked up, like, do we actually have the original two?
Yeah, there are several hundred different versions. I mean, there's so many, because we'll get to that later, there's so many versions of Bebop and Rocksteady, it's not even funny. I love the next page where we have the Queen Time Lord or whatever. By the hands of time, she did not just shut down the time tunnel. She's going to, like, totally cause a multiverse collapse. I love the way this page is. I love the way the panels are done in the shapes. Like, the center is like a diamond shape, and the 4 panels, top and bottom, are, like, hexagonal, kind of. No, they don't really have 6 sides, but whatever. I just love how that page is spread out.
Yeah, when you get those unconventional layouts, I get excited.
Oh yeah, and even the next page after that it's oh god, it's a flying V. And so this was one of the things that I was saying when I messaged you on Facebook saying, oh my god, we're only 5 pages in and this is the best thing ever, because on this secondary page here where Renet says we got 9 minutes until multiversal collapse, and the next panel next to that is it's all or nothing, guys. We've got to get those scepters. And this is Leo, and we see Leo, Mikey, Donnie, and Raph says, remember how you said we needed a catchphrase for this, Leo? How about Turtle Power? And I just lost my shit when I read that.
That's the first time they've said that in the IDW series.
Is it?
I think so.
Huh. But yeah, no, I'm just like, wow. That whole exchange of, and they do this all the time. When we will be eventually doing the Batman TMNT miniseries that DC and IDW did, which thankfully is outside of the IDW TMNT continuity because DC would just have ended up screwing that up. But it's a standalone thing. And in that, I remember in the very beginning issue of that, they have 4 panels highlighting each turtle with the color, obviously. And I always love when they do that because it's such an homage to the '87 cartoon for me. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, the 4 panels on page 5 where they're each grabbing their weapon, it's reminiscent of the animated intro where they pan in on their hands and the weapon adjusts, or they adjust the position of their hands, and like 1, 2, 3, 4, you get all 4. And
well, it's an homage to the original story in '87 that Splinter told April when he introduces them. He said, I named them after all my favorite Renaissance painters, and he goes through Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo. And each of those panels, because I remember at the time a few years ago, I took screen caps of these, has their color, has light blue for Leo, purple for Donnie, red for Raph, and orange for Mikey. like you were saying, they also do that in the 4Kids series with the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 2003 cartoon. They kind of do the same thing. So they basically have to find Bebop and Rocksteady, and basically what the Turtles and Renet are doing are finding all the alternate Bebop and Rocksteadies. And in this next panel here on page 7, where she says, "Don't let the scepter tear its way out of the tunnel." And I did not, and I do not see that certain character until that next page when Nab, and I'm like, oh, it's just so great. Pepperoni saves the day. And Raph grabs her, and they end up, going through all that stuff. So we get Bebop and Rocksteady, and they look great on the bottom of this page. On the bottom of the Pepperoni Nab page, they look awesome. And where are we going, Rocksteady? We're about to find out. So the story then goes back to Savanti Romero and the prehistoric Bebop and Rocksteady, where they're going to join up with him. Let's see, where else do we go? It goes back to that because we have the Turtles and Renet back there, and we see dead Renet, but how can she be dead? And, yeah, like I said last time, folks, time travel, hurt your head.
I'm not entirely confused right now. Like, I get where they're at, but she says that she had just died there, and they went back to about the same moment, but she's mummified more than she thinks she should have been. Yeah. Says, take the gem. Oh, okay.
Yep. And then this knocks them back to Rio de Janeiro in 2016. And they leave prehistoric Bebop and Rocksteady there, like it's nothing. We then go to New York. Well, we're still in New York. And they have the Bebop and Rocksteady skulls, which is cool. And then the time travel stuff just gets all kinds of weird and whacked out because we get an old Renet.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so the gem it's in the past with mummified Renet.
Yeah.
They're back in the future. They've dropped off present day Bebop and Rocksteady in Rio. Well, they were prehistoric, but they're the originals. They're back at the museum taking the gem back, and when she takes the gem back,
it brings old Renet into
old Renet. It unmummifies old Renet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got it.
And we
still has a Valley Girl accent.
Yeah. Yes, she does. So we've got Savanti Romero coming into the future, I guess. Apparently this is Rio 1 week ago, talking to them, saying that, hey, I used to know you guys, and all that. And they basically beat him up. They tried to beat him up. Doesn't really... Well, it works out for them, actually. So they beat up Savanti Romero. And
that's how they originally got the scepter.
Right.
From this moment.
Right.
Because he found them before they went time traveling. He remembered them. They didn't know who he was and just beat the snot out of them.
Yeah. And so we get more of Donnie's internal dialogue, internal monologue kind of narrating here. And the next page we get, Bebop and Rocksteady. I wonder if he'll come back for us. Let's hope not. And I love this. I was thinking, let's go back to New York. What do you say? Rocksteady, you're a genius. I'll be damned.
It's the foot cruiser.
And it's the foot cruiser. It did kind of get destroyed, but it's not destroyed now, so that's okay.
Yeah, I can't figure out how that happened either, but I'm not going to ask. Here it is. It's there.
It's time travel. It's time travel.
Houston, we have a problem.
right, so the Foot Cruiser. We don't know how it's here. We don't care how it's here. It's here. And Bebop and Rocksteady have their own pet. It's the blue and orange guy from earlier that was hanging out with Pepperoni.
I'm sure we'll come back to that at some point. Even past, like I don't know if they'll make that canon, but I think.
See, I'm really hoping they make at least Pepperoni canon, because she's awesome. So they sing their song here, and they say they're gonna destroy everything, and this is where we get Donnie's narration coming in again. So Pepperoni did go on to join the Turtles in many more adventures. That's just awesome. How often has it been since we've seen them with the headbands off?
A very long time, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that part of this panel. How basically 3 out of the 4 have it as almost as a bib, as a handkerchief around their neck, and then Mikey's using his as a bandana. That's awesome. Again, Donnie needs to narrate more. She also tried her first slice of pizza. It was a veggie lovers. Old pepperoni.
I see that pile of breadsticks in front of them there. I never understood people not breadsticks, the crust. People not eating crusts.
Oh god, I love crust.
They'll order breadsticks, but they don't eat the pizza crust. Like, really, guys? You want breadsticks? They're at the back of your pizza. It's right there. There's a breadstick. You can dip it in sauce. It's great.
Yep. Mutant April O'Neil was thrown into the 1960s, where she assumed the name Nightbug, and with her new abilities, lived the rest of her life pursuing adventure and stopping evil wherever she found it. The BopSteady Verse is out there now, just waiting to be discovered by some unwitting transdimensional species. So like I said, a million tons of Bebops and Rocksteadies.
I love that panel. Yeah. That's awesome.
We need that as a poster. That's what we need.
I take that as a poster. Yeah, you've got a couple of different artists on that same page. That's cool.
Yep, because Sophie starts at the top, and then it moves to the other. Yeah, and Bebop and Rocksteady, they wrecked their car before they even made it 2 blocks.
That's too bad, because I really wanted that to show up later too.
So that's issue 5. I know we kind of glossed over a lot of things. We didn't go into too much detail, but I mean, it's pretty much resolving everything.
Yeah, this issue was. It felt rushed to me, but it also did everything that it needed to do. All the good, interesting stuff happened before. I kind of wish the climax were different, but I don't know what I think I would have wanted it to be, because this is what it had to be. You had to, at some point, go back and stop them from ever really going back in time.
Right. And with the whole thing about, at the end, about the fact that there's a BopSteady Verse out there, they can play with that story. They could make stories out of that in the future. The whole thing with they wrecked their car, they didn't even get 2 blocks, they wrecked their car. So, again, this is the first time we'd seen them since 50, right? So, we didn't know what they were up to.
Yeah, besides just not being in New York doing something else.
Right. So, I love this 5-issue miniseries. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I think it's really cool that they put a spotlight on Bebop and Rocksteady, especially with, the whole month of June essentially is Bebop and Rocksteady month with that movie, the movie and all that. So, absolutely loved it. I now cannot wait to see where they show up in either the main ongoing or the TMNT Universe ongoing that's coming in August.
This is going to hurt my wallet so bad, because there's probably going to be a ton of covers on issue 1 and then a bunch of A/B covers forever now, but hey, at least I don't need to wait, 4 weeks for my Turtles fix anymore.
Yeah, that's true. And as I said in the last episode when we talked about the future of us doing the Turtles stuff, we're gonna do 59 and 60. We're probably gonna do at least Universe number 1 at first, just to see what it's what the story is and how that all is, and then at some point before the end of the year, we'll get to Batman TMNT, and I still have to figure out, the story, how the 61, how the Phantom's story is going to play out. I got to email Bobby about that and figure that out, so that way I can figure out how we're going to do it.
I got to email Bobby and find out how to get one of my drawings on a cover. There's enough variants out there that they have room for me somewhere. Just put me on some trash turtle book, way far, some cover H or something, way out.
So, yeah, Bebop and Rocksteady destroy everything. Overall, what would you say on a 0 to 5 scale would you give the whole series?
I think overall, because of the flat issue 5, I'm going to give it a 4.
I'm going to give it a 4.5. I know issue 5 reads fast because they're wrapping everything up pretty fast, but I loved how they wrapped everything up. They basically gave everybody a happy ending. I mean, for the most part, the world didn't get destroyed. Bebop and Rocksteady are still around. We're going to see them in the future. We now have this whole BopSteady universe with, I'm telling you, there are going to be infantile amounts of stories that could come out of that thing. So I'll give it a 4.5. We're going to take a quick break, come back to close the show after this.
I know what we're doing today.
Okay, Michael, if we're going to tackle this podcast thing, we've got to do something really special. It has to be cool, daily, in audio form, and undetectable by radar. Something that screams summer. I know, let's do a Phineas and Ferb review podcast. We'll call it the Podcast Organization Without a Cool Acronym, or POWCA for short. What do you think?
I think if we're not careful, Candace is going to bust us.
You can find POWCA on the GEEK-STUFF Radio Network, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and all of the other methods you find podcasts.
Okay, then. Carry on.
All right, we are back here on the Pull Bag, Back Issue Classics, episode 64, the end of Bebop and Rocksteady Destroy Everything. I really dug it. There were I think in the beginning there were certain art things I was kind of nitpicking, but overall the series as a whole was absolutely fun. It was so cool seeing Bebop and Rocksteady shine in their own miniseries. I thought that was great. Any other final thoughts from you?
I think it was great to see the worst case scenario for time travel finally play out in some element of literature, because it always ends up too perfect. Nobody steps on the butterfly and destroys existence as we know it. Well, no, Bebop and Rocksteady just trashed the timeline because they have no concept of the rules. So that was neat to see. The issue 4, I think, really shined, where we got to see the many, many different versions of them meeting each other. You really got to kind of learn about Bebop and Rocksteady, which we really haven't ever had a chance to do before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this whole thing about them hanging out with their pre-mutated selves and all, I really dug that part of the story, because even though it was a complete time paradox, because telling their old selves what's going to happen and maybe all that stuff, but I just really love seeing them. It's kind of like, if I went back in time to 2006 and said, "Hey, you should start podcasting now." It's like one of those. It's like, 2016 Mike goes back 10 years to 2006. In about 3 years, you're going to start a podcast network. You should start it now. That way, you have at least 10 years already under your. So, it's that whole kind of thing, but that's what makes it endearing, and that's what makes it interesting with their characters, is seeing how much they differ from each other. At the same time, because of their differences, they need each other. Because in the one issue, I think it's last issue, issue 4, where they ended up splitting up and going on their own with their two, like the two Rocksteadies and the two Bebops and whatever. Like, they can't survive without each other. Bebop and Rocksteady are not. They are, okay, I'll put it in WWE terms, folks. They are the ultimate Turtles tag team enemies, because they can't survive as single competitors. So coming up in the pull bag, I honestly don't know. I'm trying to think. I know that July we're going to be doing some Rebirth stuff. I know Steve Megatron and I are going to be doing some Batman Flash Rebirth #1. So there is that. Let's see, what do we got here? Nicole and I will be back with Hot Damn number 3 from IDW as well. Let's see here. Rebirth. I Hate Fairyland from Image. We'll be doing that again. And yeah, other than that, I'm not sure. So you just have to stay tuned and figure it out with us, folks. Yeah. It's like, I don't, I can't see through time, people. I don't know what's coming up, in 20 minutes, let alone 2 weeks from now. What have you got coming up? You're going on vacation, aren't you?
Yes. The magic trick that I like to do is I like to find this geek mecca, this place, this destination that's incredibly geeky, and then I try to convince my wife that the rest of the state is this fantastic place to go to. And so this year I discovered that Steve Levine, the original letterer of the Ninja Turtles comic books, worked with Eastman and Laird during the Mirage days, did all of the licensing work that we grew up with on the Burger King ads and on the color forms and on the t-shirts, and did all of that. He has an art gallery in Wells, Maine called Shellback Artworks. And so I discovered this, and we were going to go to Boston and make a trip up there, but downtown Boston just seems like a little hard to get into, and it's the holiday, so we said, you know what, let's just do Maine. So we're going to drive out there. I'm going to hit Mirage Studios, just drive by it, because they don't let you in Northampton, Massachusetts.
You're going to do a drive-by on the
we're going to drive by and wave. We're going to hit them with our waves.
Yeah.
Jetpack Comics is nearby, which has a lot of IDW Turtles variants on the shelf that they received, and then we'll hit Wells, Maine, and Shellback Artworks. So I'm hoping... I had my geek sale last week, massive success, 21 vendors, twice the size that we've ever been, even at our biggest. That was awesome. Made a little bit of money, and I intend to spend some of that money on artwork there, see if I can buy some original promotional art. But they've got an art gallery there, too, of stuff not for sale, and that'll be neat to see. But Steve Levine is the guy that they supposedly based the personality of Michelangelo on, and he runs the shop. He's there every day.
Sweet.
I gotta call them in 2 hours and find out if they're actually going to be open next week because of the holiday. Because if they're not open, dang it.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing, folks. Originally, Joe and his wife Jenny, they said they were going to Boston, and you had told me on messages on Facebook, oh, that means we get to go out to Northampton. I'm like, so cool. You get to go to the farmhouse. And then Jenny on Facebook says, yeah, I'm so happy we decided to not go to Massachusetts, and I just stared at my screen like, how dare you say that? But yeah, going to Maine. The only thing I can think of when you go to Maine is you can look for Whipstaff and see if Casper's still around.
And the rescue bots, Transformers rescue bots are from Maine. They're on an imaginary island off the coast, so that'll be... That's for Oliver. Yeah, the rescue bots live over there, dude.
Maybe you can find some flobsters.
Yes, we're totally going to eat a lobster. And because of that episode, he's like, I don't want to touch the lobster. But I think we have to. You can't go to Maine and not try it. So let's do that, buddy.
No, I grew up. I've told this story before, but originally I grew up in Massachusetts. I was born in Stoughton and lived in Kingston, Plymouth, Plimpton area, South Shore, about an hour and a half south of Boston. For the first 13 years of my life, and yeah, it's a whole other culture up there with everything. Not just the food, not just the sights and the sounds, but just everything. Whether you're in Massachusetts or Maine or any Rhode Island, it's a whole mecca of a different thing. It's unlike anything else.
I'm very excited.
Yeah,
we might try to drive by Hasbro as well because they're in Rhode Island.
Yeah, Hasbro. All right. Yeah. All right, folks. That's going to do it for us here inside the Pullbag Back Issue Classics. Join us next time. Now that I think about it, I do have a After Dark. It's more of a clip show After Dark thing. My buddy Jesse Raz from one of the local radio stations, I had him over one day, and he recorded his reaction to Cap turning evil. So we'll talk about how un-American Hail Hydra Captain America is. So there's that. And like I said, I Hate Fairyland issues 3 and 4 is coming and all that good stuff. So we got plenty of stuff coming up here inside the pull bag. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
We brought the entire convention center to the brink of an inter-genre geek war.
Okay, Michael, if we're going to tackle this podcast thing, we've got to do something really special. It has to be cool, daily, in audio form, and undetectable by radar. Something that screams summer. I know, let's do a Phineas and Ferb review podcast. We'll call it the Podcast Organization Without a Cool Acronym, or POWCA for short. What do you think?
I think if we're not careful, Candace is going to bust us.
You can find POWCA on the GEEK-STUFF Radio Network, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and all of the other methods you find podcasts.
We'll give you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Oh, we was just starting to have fun.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching GeekCast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at GeekCast Radio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.